Welcome to Living Passionately with Pat Brown. Today, I am so thrilled to bring to you my dear friend, Judge Caroline Pemberton. Caroline and I met many years ago when we worked as tellers at a Greater New York Savings Bank in Brooklyn, New York. At the time, we were both young adults, managed our way through careers and in college, just being young immigrants, encouraging each other to go after our dreams. Today, I am thrilled to have Caroline join us on Living Passionately with Pat Brown to speak about her journey from teller to nurse to attorney to prosecutor and now Judge Caroline Pemberton. Caroline shares with us her journey and her challenges and experiences that she's encountered while maintaining herself as a mom, staying true to her vision and going after the dreams and goals that she desired. Welcome to the show, Judge Pemberton. Welcome to Living Passionately with Pat Brown. I am so happy that you were able to take the time out today and to come on the show. It's really, really great to see you. Really is. Want to, chat a bit more. The last time we saw each other, I think you were in nursing school, or did you graduate at the time?
I was in nursing school when I was working at the Greater New York Savings Bank.
New York Savings, yeah.
I had asked for a position at the corporate office in their accounting department. I was a data entry clerk for the accountants. And then I decided that I wanted to go to nursing school. So I think the last time you saw me, I was either leaving for nursing school or in nursing school, because I would come back to the branch and say hi. I don't remember if you were still there when I left.
That was a good experience. That job was kind of like family, don't you think?
It was.
Most of the people that we worked with.
Yeah, I wish I had kept in touch with some of those guys that I worked with. I remember there was one lady I worked with that I really liked, because when I was pregnant with my second son, I don't know if you remember when I was pregnant, and she threw a shower for me. Her name was Rose Darlow. And I remember Rose because she was a supervisor for the accounting department. And I went on Facebook recently trying to find her and found out she had passed. She passed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Wow. And I don't know what happened to the other guys because I don't remember some of their names.
I don't remember some of the names, but I remember a lot of people that were tellers with us because a lot of us were in school at the time. And at the time, there weren't a lot of Black people working in the banks, and especially in Park Slope. So we kind of like bonded and tried to guide each other as much as we could because we were still young. The one thing that I remembered about you, first of all, was your smile. You always had a pleasant smile.
Why, thank you.
And you were always into school. I remember I had something happen and I was like trying to figure out how I was going to continue. I didn't have my daughter yet. I was still single. And you encouraged me to make sure you stay in school no matter what, even if you go part-time. And I think that's one of the reasons that you always stayed in my mind because, sometimes you reflect on people that came into your life and that were positive. Those were some good years.
It was. It was. I remember when I left the bank, I graduated from nursing school and Borough of Manhattan Community College.
What happened to becoming I guess you worked as a nurse in North Carolina for some time.
Yes, I came to North Carolina in 1992, January 2nd, 1992. I basically snuck out of New York because my ex was becoming unreasonable in our separation,
Okay.
And there was a fear of physical harm if I don't leave with the kids.
Oh, wow.
In January 1st, we decided that I was going to move to North Carolina. I had a friend who was from North Carolina and said, if you need to get out of North Carolina, I'm going back. You can come until you get on your feet. So January 2nd, which is after midnight, basically, it was because he worked the night shift at the post office. So I had to wait till midnight. So midnight, January 1st, January 2nd, my two kids and I loaded up in a car I left all of my furniture behind. All we left was two suitcases or 2 bags of clothes. And I tell people this all the time, my microwave and my vacuum cleaner, because if I'm going to stay at somebody's house, I'm going to keep it clean. And if I can't afford to feed my kids, we can microwave something.
Oh, wow. That was smart. One of the things we mothers think about, right?
Yeah, so I left New York with nothing, basically. And relocated to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and got a job there because I had just graduated from nursing school. And I was working at Mount Sinai Hospital initially, offered me $5,000 for each year that I would sign up for. And I signed up for 4 years. So I left New York and came to North Carolina, and I worked at Mount Sinai for about 6 months. And I realized I had to leave New York. So we came down here, my kids and I work at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center, stayed there for another 8 months and relocated to Greensboro, North Carolina. Stayed with a friend until I was able to get on my feet. It took about 4 years to build myself up, you know.
Right. It takes time. Yeah.
Purchased my first house, which is the same house I live in since 1998.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, when I was growing up in Jamaica, I always wanted to be an attorney. That was always yes. You know, you grew up in the West Indies. People always say, "I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer."
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I wanted to be an attorney, but I got married at 18 and had my first son at 19. So that was not in the works at that time. So you lived in New York, how short they were of nurses. And
right, I remember.
Always advertising, come to nursing school. We offer this. Yeah. That's what got me into nursing. At no time in my childhood growing up did I ever thought about going to nursing school. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I went into nursing, I ended up liking it because even though I keep my license up, you know, I still keep it.
You still keep it active? Oh, nice.
Yeah, up until my accident in 2020, I was working as a nurse in addition to working as an attorney. I was still doing both. I came down here because Borough of Manhattan Community College is a 2-year school.
Right.
When I came down here with my job in Greensboro, I was lucky enough to get a few promotions. I came in as an agency nurse. They hired me, then team leader, then supervisor, then manager. And they were encouraging me to go back and get my BSN, my bachelor's in nursing.
Right.
Would pay for it. So I did. I was a single mom with my 3 kids at the time, you know, working as a nurse manager. But, you know, when you have a drive, you got to do it. You know?
Yes.
You gotta do it. So I finished my bachelor's, and about 2 years later, I started my master's. I wanted to be a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
And then 9/11 happened. Remember 9/11? And I only had like 30 more credits to go out of 80-something credits. Okay.
Right.
And I remember when 9/11 happened, and we went to class that night, and one of our instructor, he said, based on what happened on September 11th, if you reflected on your life right now, would you say you're doing exactly what you wanted to do all your life? And I went home that night and I thought about it, and I said, I always wanted to be a lawyer. I mean, I was nursing, but that was not what I always wanted to do. So I thought about how I'm going to raise my kids as a single mom, work as a nurse manager 50 hours a week, and still go to law school. But I went and took the LSAT, got a good score on the LSAT, and the only program in the state of North Carolina at the time with an evening program was North Carolina Central University. They had a night program because there's no day shift, you know, because they do not encourage you to work while you're going to the day shift. And I have kids. I couldn't give up my job.
I had to work.
Yeah. So I did the night class. They accepted me. It was in Raleigh, Durham, Raleigh area. So I was in Greensboro from about 8 o'clock to about 5 o'clock, sometimes 7 a.m. because I was a manager, you know. Then I had to drive to Raleigh, which was about an hour from the hospital, and attend classes from 6:30 to 9:30 at night, 3 nights a week. And then I would drive from Raleigh to Summerfield, where I lived, which was an hour and a half because it's further out from Greensboro. And
talk about determination.
I know. Some days I remember saying, you know, what am I doing? You know, why there were days when I'm like, are you crazy? I remember some nights I was going to school, Pat, and I was like, at the time I was making a 6-figure salary as a nurse manager.
Wow.
And it never dawned on me that I would be giving up all that money starting out as a new lawyer. Because, you know, you watch those law shows, you think you're going to come to law school making buku bucks, right? It doesn't happen like that all the time. It was a 4-year program because it was nighttime. It was only a 3/4 credit. It wasn't a full 12. It was 9 credits, but every summer for the 4 years.
Awesome. That's determination, resilience, everything that you need.
tears.
Of course, yeah, tears. Yeah, I'm
Tears,
sure.
you know. Three things that kept me going were my kids, because
Right.
I did not want them to see me start something and not finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I thought about not going, because I think her class, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but just an idea, we started out with like 35 students, maybe more. And our graduating night shift class was like 20 or 21 after the smoke cleared. So many people dropped out.
Right.
So I didn't want my kids to have to say, Mom dropped out of law
Uh,
school. So it was my pride.
yeah. Yeah. The things that you do for your kids are sometimes just the way they motivate you to
Right.
complete, they give you that reason for living and to keep going
Yep.
as tough as it may be. Yeah. Yeah.
And they had a rough start. Two boys. No, my daughter's dad is not for my two boys' dad.
Okay. Right.
He's my husband. And so her dad was here in North Carolina. He was very involved in her life, but I was estranged from my boy's dad because the divorce was very messy,
Okay.
So they're having to be uprooted and bring to North Carolina with no family. Because we have no family here. It's just me and my kids. None of my families are here. Even
Wow.
31 years later, I don't have any families here but my kids,
Yeah.
I had to make sure that I was mother and father to them and try to
Right.
be an example. But boys have their turbulent years, their growing
Of
pains.
course. Yeah.
But I don't regret it for anything. I really don't.
Definitely. And I know they love and respect you for that. I see those pictures. Yeah.
And I lost a son.
Yeah. That must have been really hard.
That was my firstborn. It still affects me,
Of course.
especially on days like today, because he passed on a Sunday. So every time the weekend rolls around, it's like I'm back in that time zone when I got all of that. And
yeah.
I miss him a lot, but I know that as much as he loved me, he wouldn't want me to give up on myself. I had two other kids I had to live for, let me put it that way. They were struggling too. They lost their big brother.
Their brother, yeah.
I couldn't afford to let them see me being depressed. God knows there were days, Pat, when I didn't want to get out of my bed. But I had to, I had to let my two other surviving kids know that life has to go on as much as it hurt. I never thought in my life that I would lose a child. The last 6 months before he passed, I was having thoughts that something was going to happen in my life.
Really?
Yes. And I kept praying, and I was like, I remember the Friday before he passed, I remember coming home, and this panic feeling got me, and I started crying, and I was like, God, I don't know what it is I'm going to experience, but whatever it is, if it's not thy will, please don't let it be done. And that was the Friday before he passed.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. So it's like I knew something was going to happen,
but
I didn't think it was going to be that.
Yeah.
My son always told me he wasn't going to live past 40. Ever
Really?
since he turned 30 years old, every time we had his birthday get together, I would get on him about getting married. I was like, hey, son, it's time to get married and give your mom some grandbabies. And he would say, Mom, there's no reason for me to do that because I don't want to leave any kids behind that won't have a father, because I'd be lucky if I live to see 40. I don't know why he kept saying that. He never did tell me.
Oh my goodness.
My son shouldn't have passed. I don't know the full details about it, and I will tell you about it, but not on here.
I hope that, I don't know what that feels like, but I've had like a really close friend of mine he died in a motorcycle accident, and I see, how it has hurt his mom and all of us that were close to him. So I could only imagine the pain that you are experiencing because of that. I saw some of the pictures that you guys post, and every one of them, he's hugging you.
I know. Yeah, that was my boy. Mother's Day, birthday, Christmas.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah. I saw those. Yeah.
He was a mama's boy. He really was.
Yeah, very evident. So I could only imagine how difficult that has been. So have you, and if we don't want to talk about this, you can tell me, have you gone to therapy and try to get some peace with dealing with it? Because that must be hard.
I
Okay.
did start, well, it was the old pandemic situation in 2020. Because I don't know if you know, but 4 months after my son passed, I got hit by a car
I saw
crossing the
it. Yeah, you
street.
told me about the accident. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that close after he
Oh, yeah.
passed.
He died September 1st. And my accident
Mhm.
was January 8th, 2020. He died September 1st, 2019. The Friday night before my son passed, I had just texted all of my kids to let them know I've decided to run for a district court judge. He went ahead that night and changed his Facebook picture, my campaign, to yeah.
Okay, for
And
judge.
it's still there because I haven't gone into his Facebook to find out. I don't want to go into his Facebook. All his public posts is enough for me because I have so many pictures of him. So I had started to announce in July, August that I was going to run for judge, and he died in September. I thought about backing out of the race. I really did. I'm like, how can I concentrate on this? Because losing a child, I guess any family member is a grief, it's a loss, but a child to me is a lot different.
I could
Just for
imagine. Yeah.
anybody else. I've lost my dad
Yeah.
and parents, but it's not the same as losing my son.
Right.
And
Because
I
no
didn't
one
think
ever think of, burying your child. You know what I mean? Like we all just assume that we will outlive our children.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I was going to pull out of the race, but my campaign manager, who has since passed too, we had a talk and he said, if you still want to do this, we can still go ahead with this. And
Mhm.
most of my team members, which were nurses, a lot of them were nurses, not every one of
Oh,
them.
really?
The nurses that I'd worked with, they jumped in and chipped in to help. And they were like, if you still want to go, we got this. So I was like, okay, I think I might still do this, because it's not only emotional pain, Pat, the physical pain you feel too.
Mm,
Because
right.
sometimes I felt like I was going to have a heart attack just from crying.
Wow.
It's
Yes.
so
Yeah.
hard. You feel like you're short of breath. You feel like you can't breathe. You feel like you're going to have a heart attack.
Mm.
So January 8th, I was on my way to work. I was working as a prosecutor for the state of North Carolina in Guilford County. And there's a Firestone place downtown Greensboro where I dropped my car off to be serviced. It's only a block and a half walk to the courthouse. And I
Okay.
was crossing the street and don't know what happened. Next thing I was laying in the street, car was over me
Oh my
and dragged
goodness.
me for a little while and ended up, I couldn't walk at all for about 8 months because both
Wow.
sides of my pelvic were broken.
Oh
Both
my
sides of my
goodness.
sacrum was broken. My left arm was snapped in two. My left femur
Wow.
broke in two. I had liver damage, bladder damage. It was something else, but
Oh my goodness. That sounds horrific, Caroline. How
yeah,
to even survive all of
I
that? Oh
know.
my goodness.
I left my house on January 8th. I didn't get back home until April 6th.
Jeez.
Spent a month in the hospital and
Wow.
2 months in a rehab center, learning how to walk all over again. And I was able to use a wheelchair for a little while. And from a
Uh-huh.
wheelchair, I advanced to a walker. And so I
Mhm.
used the walker for when I went on the bench in 2021. For that entire year, I was using a walker until my last surgery in December 2021.
So, Caroline, during all of this, you still continue the
Yes.
run for judge?
Yes. My
Yeah.
team says, if you still want to do this, we got you. So me winning that election was tremendously the effort of my team because I was laid up in the hospital because I had an opponent. And because the both of us were Democratic candidates, we had a primary. And so I was in the hospital June 8th. The primary was March. So they took it from there. Whoever won the primary won the election because it was two Democrats. They did it. And I tell you, so I didn't even watch the election that night. I
Oh
did
my
because I just knew I
goodness.
wasn't going to win the election. I was like,
Yeah.
why torture myself? They can call me and tell me
Mhm.
the bad news. They
So
did a
from your
tremendous job.
hospital, from you announced you're going to run for judge, you lost your son,
Mm-hmm,
and then you had this horrific car accident few months later.
mm-hmm.
And from your hospital and rehab bed, you still ran for judge.
Yes, yes.
I don't know why. I gotta find a name for you, Caroline, because it's not miraculous. It's a whole lot more than that. Because I don't know, like, how did you do that?
And not knowing if I was able to walk without a walker,
Yes. I mean,
but
what made you kept going? Like,
my kids and my grandson. I actually became a grandmother
I see those
when I
pictures
was
too.
in the hospital. He was born
Oh, really?
February 6th. Yeah. I didn't meet him until he was 6 months old, 6 to
Oh
7 months old.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the pandemic hit at that time, and he was
Right.
in Raleigh and I was in Greensboro. So I didn't want him
Okay.
around, with all of that. So yeah, let me tell you something. When you have kids and grandkids, I can't tell you why. Sometimes I look back and I made a post the other day on Facebook that says sometimes people recognize your achievement before you do. Because I don't think
That's
about
so
it like
bad.
that. I just think about it on a day-to-day basis that I had to survive for my kids because they
Yeah.
lost their brother. I don't want them to
Right.
lose their mother 4 or 5 months later. We are all the family
Right.
we had, all four of us.
I saw that post and it kind of hit me deep too because I know we had talked a little bit a few months ago, but let me first fogged you on Facebook. But I saw that and I was like, wow, that's so true because people see the end result,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know your journey.
No.
And that's why I really appreciate you coming on here because this channel is about really encouraging people and inspiring them. Like it doesn't matter your age and what you might have gone through, you can still accomplish your dreams. But
Right.
your story, your journey is so much larger than I could ever imagine because I did not realize you had really gone through so much. So hats off to you. And I am so proud of you that you hang on there and continue on that journey for your children. Really, Judge Pemberton, I'm so excited to
Well, I
call
got to
you
run
a
again
friend.
next year. So hopefully I will win again. I don't know.
Yeah, but people
I
see
have
your
friends who
work.
know.
So
Yeah.
there's no reason why you shouldn't. You've been working and I see all your community work and and so many people are proud of you and so many people are following you. And I'm sure you're going to inspire some little girl from Jamaica or some other part of the islands with a dream to become an attorney or a nurse, or some single parent, that might be dealing with a situation that they think or a married person that is going through, a married woman that is going through challenges.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make a decision because these are things that happen in life. And I really appreciate you being authentic and speaking about it because sometimes we don't know, we don't share, and sometimes it could just change the life of one person or touch the life of one other woman or child or family, even a man, it could encourage them to keep going. So I really appreciate you doing this. And I'm really super proud of you, to be honest.
Well, I thank you. And I'm proud of you too. From
you.
a teller at the bank, you've made a long journey yourself. I mean, it's not underestimate your accomplishments,
Yeah, no, not, I'm grateful to that, like one day I'll do a show on me and my journey.
Exactly.
But we all have a story, right? And sometimes a story needs to be told. So I know that's a small part of it. So I need to see that book. When you're going to start writing that book?
Everybody asks me that question. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to get a ghost. I have to get a ghostwriter because I'm not a writer. I'm have to get a ghostwriter to write that.
You just started and it'll flow. And that's why you have publishers and all those people on your team.
So many people have asked me that question, and I'm like, I don't know. I never, because the thing is, when you're going through these things, you don't see yourself going through these things. You don't see yourself surviving one day at a time.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, did I?
Yeah, I can understand that because, you're in survival mode, but still there are people that are stuck and they don't know how to get in that survival mode, or they're too scared or petrified. Like, what am I going to do? It's super great to share and just be able to move on and to get in a space, and I know that you're still grieving your son, and that's an angel that you have looking down and guiding you every day and protecting you and your dad.
And I don't know if I told you, but because of him passing, I started a little group of moms. We call ourselves M.O.M.S, Mothers of Missing Souls. It's a Facebook group. And I have like 30-something women in it where we all have lost a child. And it's a private group because we only want people who have lost a child. But a lot of times people don't understand what you're going through unless they have been through it themselves. Because family members don't understand if they've never lost a child. And people are always comparing, well, I lost my mom, I lost my dad, I lost my brother. It's not the same. So I am very happy about that group. When we're having a bad day, we reach out to each other. We send encouraging words to each other,
That's great. So it's called M.O.M.S,
M.S.
M-O-M-S. Okay, awesome. It's a Facebook group.
Yeah.
So for any mothers that are listening that might have lost a son, anyone can join.
Anyone
Send a
can
request.
join.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
This is needed. Unfortunately, we see the stories of a lot of people losing their sons that, incidents that shouldn't have happened. So
Right. Yeah.
it's great. M-O-M-S.
M.O.M.S. Yeah.
Yeah.
M.O.M.S. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we do too as a group, if we see anybody on Facebook who has lost a child, after everything has settled, we reach out and send them a card, let them know that we're here if you need someone to talk to, because we understand what you're going through. There were times when that group kept me going, because we're encouraging each other. So I'm really proud about that group. It's unfortunate the circumstances under which we are in a group,
Right. But still, you needed support. And I saw your daughter just graduated with her doctorate.
She graduated from Cornell University with her PhD in animal science. And she's the second African-American female to graduate from Cornell in that department. The first one was a Jamaican, go figure. And the second one is the daughter of a Jamaican.
Really? Wow.
And she met her at some conference. Yeah. She got a postdoctorate degree at the University of Maryland in their vaccination department where they create vaccinations. So
wow.
She's doing her thing. So I might let her write my book because she always said she wants to be a writer. So this might be
really? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, put her to work for Mom. Yeah. That's great. Well, Caroline, thank you so much. And we will definitely stay in touch. It's great to see you. And thank you for sharing your journey, your story. Like I said, I'm super proud of you. Keep going. You have cheerleaders all over that you don't see.
Thank you.
We're proud of you, from teller to nurse to attorney to prosecutor to judge.
Oh my God. No, when you put it that way.
That's Pemberton. Imagine that journey. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Give yourself some props. Yeah.
And to your viewers out there, if they're single moms or married or whatever, if you're in a situation that is not improving your well-being, you have to take a step back and reflect and see what you need to do. And if you're single, you can do whatever you want to do. Your kids are not going to stay babies all their lives. Just keep that dream alive and keep that goal and just have the determination and drive, and you can achieve it.
Definitely. Thank you so much, viewers. You heard it from the mouth of the experience. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, and you take care. Bye-bye.
You too.